comfort zones on a Sunday afternoon and answering the call of where your country is headed to? That's a big question that we all ask ourselves. Where is this all going? Well, let me tell you something. If you're like me, you got up one morning and you said, you know what, I'm tired of seeing it go to hell in a handbasket and not do anything about it. But I'll tell you what, as an organization, we are getting ready to take off in a big way because we are going to do that key, we're going to answer the key question. What do we do? From this moment on, since we're now an official nonprofit 527, we've decided that we're going to incur a membership that's big enough to be able to affect the issues of the day, and God willing, next year's election in the midterms, we'll be able to exercise some big-time influence and get the conservative word out. At this point, we are tired of being defined by the other side when they say conservatives, racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobic. We are not going to allow that to happen anymore. From this point on, we are going to be articulating our points of view, okay, of smaller government, of lower taxes, of individual freedom. Yeah. We are going to be articulating all these things. Folks, it's astonishing what can happen when people get together and exercise their common rights. Rights that were given to them by our Creator, as was stated in the Declaration of Independence. Now, remember, I said to myself, you know what? It's amazing to me that somebody wants to tell me what to think, what to do, where to get my health care from, who to pick, what to choose, and completely discount my ability as a human being to affect those choices myself. Does anybody here want to have the government decide for them where they can get their health care from? No. Does anybody here believe that the federal government cannot even run Medicare, but is going to be able to run Medicare or medical coverage for an entire nation? Impossible. Does anybody here believe that they can do this without the most outstanding corruption, the worst possible service, and the worst wasting of taxpayer dollars in this nation's history? Think about it. They want to give a $676 billion down payment on a system that we know from day one cannot possibly be paid for under any circumstances. But you know how they want to try and pay for this? They're going to try and tell you, which is why they want to pass the bill quickly under the cover of night. They want to tell you that, listen, if you work for a company and you have medical coverage, guess what? We're going to count that medical coverage as actual salary that you incur. So we're going to tax you on it. And that's how they're going to want to pay for part of it. So now, the hard money that you bring to the table is going to be substantially reduced because somebody, who I might add on the campaign trail, said that it was unethical and inhuman to tax medical coverage, is going to do precisely that. And you know why it's happening? Because during the campaign, we were not allowed to ask questions. We weren't allowed to ask something of this person who wanted to be the leader of the free world. We weren't allowed to ask, where does this person come from? What is this person's intentions? How do you intend specifically on affecting policy changes for our country? You know what? We're starting to find out. And if you're like me and you're here today, you know that none of those policy initiatives or answers are nothing of what we want. That's why you're probably here. Am I right? Yeah. Absolutely. Is everybody here prepared to see their freedoms eroded to the point where we don't even recognize our country? No. Okay, that's why we're here. That's why this organization is being formed. Right now, we're in the process of forming this organization because our goal is to be able to affect and bring conservative candidates to the forefront in the midterm election, which is very critical because you know what? They hold majority in the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. That means, for all intents and purposes, they can pretty much rattle through anything they want to. They are at this point. Guess who it's up to bring and articulate the conservative word out in order to get those candidates elected? It falls upon all of us. Upon all of us. From this meeting here today, talking to your friends, talking to your family, getting them involved, making them get out of their comfort zone. I was having a conversation with a couple of gentlemen earlier today. Think about what the signatories of the Declaration of Independence did, how they got out of their comfort zone and did something that was so incredibly reckless at that time because the nation didn't even exist. But they did it because they believed in the faith, and they believed in the principle, they believed in the values. On this day, I ask each and every one of you here today, do you believe in American values?
Yes.
Do you believe in American principles?
Yes.
Then if you don't stand up and fight for them today, starting today and onward, I submit to you, if you don't stand up and fight for them, they will disappear. They will go away if you don't stand up and fight for them. Well, Marcus, how are we going to fight them? Are we going to take up arms now and go? No. What we're going to do is, we're going to do what every politician's worst nightmare is. We are going to awaken. We are going to become a viable political force. We are going to do what we haven't done as a movement for many, 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 many years, which is say who we are as conservatives, what we stand for, how those values affect you, and what the results of believing in what we believe in have. And you know what? Here's the great news. Every time conservative values and principles are done, they work. There's tangible evidence. You can see it every time it's been tried. Every time you reduce spending, you cut taxes, and you give more individual freedom to the citizen, the economy grows, the government gets more money in the end to fund whatever it is that they're doing. Everybody is happy because they have more of their hard-earned cash in their own hands to do with whatever they determine should be done. I am not one for letting government decide what's going to happen with my hard-earned cash. Okay? Geez, I own a stake in Chrysler, and I didn't even want to be in Chrysler. Okay? But you know what? Let me give you a little glimmer of hope. This very morning, or yesterday I believe it was, there was a motion introduced to the United States Supreme Court to halt the Chrysler merger. Why? Because the people that invested their hard-earned money are about to get screwed.
That's true.
And you know what? UAW and the government are going to walk away with a majority of the common stock, and they're going to be doing with it whatever they see fit. You will not be able to possess something and sell it without having paid for it first. It is unconstitutional. And that is what their whole motion stands on. It is unconstitutional to take what we invested in, give it to somebody else, and have them profit on it. That is unconstitutional on its face. But you know what? Somebody threw the pebble. Somebody finally stood up and said, no, this is not going to happen. Why did you do this bankruptcy when they could have been able to do this on their own and have it done by nature without having destroyed $500 billion of the taxpayers' hard-earned cash? That's your money. That's your money that just went down the drain. We won't get it back if they do that bankruptcy as it exists now. It's probably not going to go through because people stood up and defended what they believed in. They defended their free market principles and defended their values. And let me tell you something, folks. Starting today, we have that power. At this point, we're going to be passing out our membership applications. It is our mission right now as citizens to rise and say in one loud voice who we are, what we stand for, and what we want to accomplish. Now today, we're going to have several candidates that are going to come by, which is part of the reason why we're here as well. We want to be able to speak to our candidates, to the people that want to represent us. Why? Because we want to be able to ask direct questions. We want to be able to get direct answers. It is my pleasure to tell you that Representative David Rivera will be here in a little while. We'll be able to ask them pertinent questions, get direct answers from them, get to know the people that you may possibly be voting for. Now, I'm not endorsing anybody at this point. As an organization, we are going to provide you with all the information regarding these candidates as we possibly can, so you can make a choice on who is the better conservative for you. That is what we're providing also as an organization. So I invite you at this point. You've taken the first step to be out here. That tells me that each and every one of you has it within you and is concerned enough that you're not watching baseball. You're not watching something, you're not going to the movies. You're not doing something else. You're here. That tells me that you're a patriot. You want to do something about what's going on. Let's turn that now into action. Let's build this organization. And I promise you, a few years from now, when we're having another one of these meetings, you're going to be surprised at the effect that people getting together, expressing their values, and they're concerned and working hard as patriots for their country, what that can accomplish. Okay? At this point, continue the conversation amongst yourselves.